Okay, Be'ezat Hashem, we want to continue Halachot Shabbat together. We are on page 36, volume 5, number 6. Jesse, I have the pamphlets over there for yourself in Hebrew, in English, if you guys want to read. It's always important to read. This way you remember it better. So Rav Yosef says at number 6, why can't the rule of not processing foods on Shabbat be compared to coloring liquids on Shabbat? Do you remember we said that there is no coloring in liquids or food on Shabbat? Remember that? Can I color my 36 of Rabbi Ovadia? Lamed Vav Bayu in Hebrew, yeah, of Rabbi Ovadia. We're already on page 36 of Rabbi Ovadia's book, by the way. We only started from Lag BaOmer. 2 weeks already did so much. Are you sure with Shabbat and holidays? Huh?
First question.
We are number 6. So says Rav Yosef, there is such a concept called me'abed. If you remember, we spoke about this processing. Let's say your shoe, your leather shoe, is not fitting you 100%. It's not as comfortable. Huh, David John? It's not 100% comfortable. And you want to put, Meir John, you want to put lotion on top of the leather shoe, so the leather shoe will soften up and you can be easily put your legs in it. Mutar b'Shabbat or no? So Halakha says not allowed to. Why? Because of me'abed. You're not allowed to on Shabbat processing. It's called me'abed. Me'abed et ha'or. It's one of the 39 Isuret Deoraita av melacha on Shabbat. Lo aleinu, lo aleichem. Person easily can violate that not knowing. Somebody tells him put a little bit lotion, he's going to soften up. In the morning, you're going to put your hands, the legs inside. Sure, it's going to be easy for you, comfortable for you. And he doesn't know that putting the leather in some lotion to soften it is so from the Torah. Me'abed, the skin, the or. Same thing with this. A person breaks the leather shoes like this. He's processing it. He breaks it through.
How about if I'm wearing them in the house to break them in? Is that allowed or not?
Intention to break them in, a problem.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So only if you're not intending for that and you're walking with that, then it's fine. But if you are intending for that, it's a problem. So says Rav Ovadia that the Torah, there is a Torah prohibition of me'abed, and therefore it is forbidden to smear oil on leather shoes to soften them. Not allowed to do that on Shabbat, as stated in the Shulchan Aruch and Orach Chaim. However, there is no Torah level of me'abed when it comes to foods. En me'abed with ayin. En me'abed ba'ochalin. There is no Torah prohibitions regarding processing foods. So we see there is no Isur Deoraita, so it should be mutar.
What do you mean processing food, Rabbi?
Because food is meant to be eaten. Huh?
Like grinding it? What do you mean processing?
Processing food is like, no, not grinding. Making it softer, making it harder, making it saltier.
Isn't that a problem cooking?
No, it's already cooked.
Is it salted?
Right.
Yeah.
So if I want to put right now salt on leather and separate the fats out of the leather in order to process the leather, mutar b'Shabbat or no? Asur Deoraita. What if I put the salt on top of meat, top of bachs, on top of palo? I'm making it saltier right now. Mutar b'Shabbat or no? Yes. Why? En me'abed ba'ochalim. By Torah, that's from the processing food, does not apply. The concept of processing me'abed does not apply to foods. But if you are doing something that is long term, such you're putting a lot of salt on meat, if you remember, we said this looks like you're processing. Midrabanan. Put a lot of salt, talking about like
Covering full.
right, covering it fully to maintain it for a long time. That's a problem of me'abed, processing on Shabbat. Midrabanan, not from Torah. So why by Torah, from Torah there is no problem me'abed by Torah? Why not? So it says because food meant to be eaten, not meant to process it. Leather shoes meant to keep it for yourself a long time. Therefore, at first glance, says Rav Ovadia, one might think that the same would apply to coloring foods and drinks, since both are consumed by a person. However, this comparison is incorrect. While me'abed in food is still rabbinically forbidden on Shabbat, coloring liquids is entirely permitted. That's allowed to color liquids on Shabbat. If a person wants to make chai on Shabbat, he is allowed to put the hot water and the kli shlishi and then put the chai inside, even though the chai is going to color the water. Why? Because the laws of tzovea, coloring, does not apply to foods and not to liquids. En tzovea be'ochalin, so too en tzovea be'mashkin. Got it? Very good. That was number 6.
We learned that you
Shakol, we said?
You can coloring the bad also.
The bed?
The what's it called? Bad.
Material.
Material.
What do you mean? Why you want to color
If
the
you touch
material?
the wine, you color this one, so we said it's allowed. Because
His
you're not
intention
doing-
is to clean the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
Here
this
your
over there,
intention is to make the
If this over
the
there,
color.
so for food is
Over there your intention is not to color. Here your intention of the chai is to color.
that is food.
That's what Rabbi Yosef says. This is food. And what about liquids? Ben Ishchai said you're not allowed to make chai
Food
like this.
also.
The people from Baghdad that follow Ben Ishchai cannot make chai on Shabbat putting hot water and then put the chai inside. Asur. Mechalel Shabbat, he says. Did you know that? Rabbi Yosef says Ben Ishchai is wrong. You're allowed to make. There is no coloring by food, so too there is no coloring by liquids. En tzviya ba'ochalim, so too there is en tzviya ba'mashkim.
Back there in Baghdad, they used to do the finjan on top of the and they used to fill it up with water.
Asur.
No, but it was cooked before Shabbat.
Doesn't matter cooked. Rabbi Yosef says the problem, the Ben Ishchai says the problem of coloring the water.
But the water was already colored.
How is it colored?
There was a little finjan
No.
with the tea. They put before Shabbat the hot water on top.
Yeah,
of
that's
it.
what
It was
they
already
used to do before.
colored.
Put that water on top colored in the finjan.
Yeah, but you put in the water on top of it.
Nachon. Where is the chai? How do you make chai? With this finjan you make the chai?
You're not doing color.
How?
אתה מוסיף צבע. אתה מוסיף צבע, ואתה מוסיף מים עליו.
לאן אתה שם את הצבע? To an empty cup?
כן, ואז אתה מוסיף על זה מים חמים.
Right, that's what Ben Ishchai says to do. He says you first have to make the concentrated finjan.
Because that's the way they used to do it in Iraq.
He says that's the only way you're allowed to.
Yeah.
Not allowed to do it the other way around. Not allowed to put the hot. Even in the finjan story, Jesse. Even in the finjan story, if you have a clear water, hot, and you want to put now the water from the finjan with the concentrated chai, concentrated tea, not allowed to. Ben Ishchai says, because you're pouring color on top of the clear water.
Okay, but the other way you allowed.
The other way allowed.
Yeah, fine. That's the way they used to do it.
Rabbi Yosef says not only that way is allowed to, both ways is allowed.
I agree with him.
Why? En tzviya ba'ochalin. So too there's no tzviya b'mashkim. There is no coloring by liquid. Like there's no coloring by foods. I'm allowed to take white rice, put ketchup, make it red rice. Why? En tzviya ba'ochalim, no problem. We have shakol. Meir, you ready for shakol? No.
Hey, bring a small water.
There's chai here. There's water here. What you make? Hachok chams.
Those guys disappear.
Birshu, Sadis. Anytime you have somebody else in mind, both parties have to sit. Birshut Morai Verabotai. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol niya bidvaro.
How about for the shofar? Everybody stand. We say the bracha.
Kata mitzvot. This is Bekat Haneni. Okay, number 7.
Okay.
Why were decrees made against processing food and not against coloring liquids?
Say that again?
Processing foods, we said, it's assumed Rabbanan. Example, there is a way to me'abed ba'ochalim, processed foods, with salt. So they decreed against foods, but not against fruits, drinks, such as wine, where there is no way to color by this means. People will not color with wine the walls. People will salt with the salt leather, and that's a sudoraita. So that's what Chazal said. Salting meat excessively with a lot of salt It's assumed Rabbanan because you can use it today with the meat, that's all. Tomorrow you're going to use it with the leather. And doing with the leather is Udoraita. However, by the wine, Ben Ish Chai says, there is a Gezerah. Rabbi Yosef says there is no Gezerah. You're allowed to put the wine or the chai or the coffee on clear water. You know why? Because that wine you're never going to use to paint the walls with that. You're never going to come to the Oraita Yisur with that. So therefore there is no fear you person violate the Oraita. Chazal did not put Gezerah. Understand? Very good. Number 8. Bechavod Meir, read, Jonah. Number 8. Your pamphlet is here. Mulakando, you want to read after him? We'll do one by one.
Which page?
36, Avad Yosef page. Okay, number 8.
Okay.
David, maybe close the door. Please.
36, number 8. Where's the number?
It's ours.
Не вижу number 8 здесь.
36.
Better outside.
No, not Avad Yosef page. This one.
Okay. Can the prohibition of taking fruits, separating them, right, on Shabbat, be compared to coloring liquids on Shabbat?
Okay, are you allowed to take maaser, 10%? Maybe I should write maaser. Titting, you know what titting is?
Yeah, maaser.
Oh yeah, you know this word? Jay Stodem has a titting?
Yeah, because I used to learn Pokele Israel, Halachot, and it has that language.
Titting.
Also the art scroll, same thing.
Okay, so I'll write
It's
maaser.
easy for them, but
I'll say maaser, I'll put also maaser. So you're not allowed on Shabbat to take maaser from fruits. Do you know in Eretz Israel until today, you're not allowed to go and buy vegetables in any store. Vegetables, fruits, asur to buy. Because if they didn't do maaser, tumot, maasrot, shvi'it, tevel, a lot of averot over there you can violate for eating fruits and vegetables. That's why whenever you go to visit Israel, don't go and buy anywhere you want. Make sure that there is a kashrut for the vegetables, for the fruits.
no, it's only
So-
in the private farms. Most of the big supermarkets, it's controlled by Tnuva. Tnuva is under the government,
They made it?
of course.
Okay, so if a person right now, let's say he has a backyard, you go to your babuля, she has a backyard, she grows tomatoes, she grows fruits over there, and she's welcoming you for Shabbat. Now come Shabbat table, babuля, did you make maaser on your fruits or this? Maaser? Well, I only do maaser with money, I don't do maaser with fruits. Torah says, אסר תאסר את כל תבואת זרעך יוצא השדה שנה שנה. You have to make sure to give maaser from the fruits also, not only from the vegetables, from the money.
So who you give it to?
Nowadays you cannot give it to Kohen because Kohanim are tameh. So they have to destroy it. They have to put it away and destroy it.
They can sell
Can they give it to animals?
Asur.
No animals.
What they do in Israel, the big factories like this Tnuva and other places, they make a deal that with the animal, with a Kohen, they come to a Kohen, they make him own all the zoos in Israel,
They give it to the zoo.
and they give it to all the animals in the zoo.
Yeah, you're right.
Zoo?
The zoo, you know,
Feed
zoo
the
park.
animals in the zoo.
Because by Torah, the Kohen has to be tahor, but the animals doesn't have to be tahor. So what they do, the big places, they give it to the zoo. This way everybody gains. The zoo gains, it doesn't have to pay for that, and the farmer is not just wasting it. Chaval, bal tashchit. So they make the ownership by a Kohen, and everybody, the animals are enjoying.
Every 7 years of it.
No. Every time you have fruits coming out of the ground, you have to give 10% from them.
Exactly. How does it work?
Yeah, there is a way to calculate
It
it.
applies here too?
No, Chutz La'aretz doesn't apply.
How about the 4 years?
Roll up.
Let's say I want to put with the tomatoes, this, that, like
In America, it doesn't apply.
landscaping.
Yeah, go ahead, landscape. no problem.
4 years, first 4 years is not allowed.
In Israel.
Here it's okay.
In America, the first 3 years not allowed.
So not allowed
Sure.
the first 3 years.
First 3 years orla. Orla asu. But not for tomatoes. The tomatoes doesn't have orla.
No, there are pirot.
Right. Only for borei priait things.
Only vegetables, only fruits.
So now- So now, a person, you went to your babuля, asked babuля John, did you make the 10%? She said, I only did 10% from my income. I don't know about these vegetables, fruits, all these things. I don't know. So now Shabbat table, can you separate this or no?
No, but I can. So,
So Halakha says not allowed to. So says Ravadia, Metaken, fixing the 10% of the fruit, you say asu. What about coloring? Why coloring you allow with the fruits? You also make the fruit that it was a certain color. You're right, but you see, at the prohibitions of Shabbat applies to foods. Metaken. So why coloring is different? You're right, elo metaken, that tzodek, but there is another thing besides metaken. There is 39 laws of Shabbat. So if metaken restriction applies to food, why tzovea coloring restriction doesn't apply to food?
Because that's not the original way of coloring.
That's the question Ravadia asks. Answers Ravadia number 8. Meir, it's your turn.
They used to cover the
Hi, Yaakov, איפה אתה?
color the parochet with this.
בכל ג'ו. ג'ורו ישמוקו.
There is no proof from the prohibition of maaser fruits on Shabbat, as the law is different there, where they are prohibited from eating beforehand, which is not the case with wine that is fit for consumption.
Here, with white wine. You hear the difference?
Yeah.
Ravadia Yosef says, I have right now fruits. Shabbat. I didn't take 10% in Israel. I did not take 10%. On Shabbat, can I separate it? No. Why? I'm fixing it. Listen, I have white wine. It's also not kosher for Kiddush according to the Ramban. By me making it red wine, I put a little bit drops of red wine in the white wine, make it a little bit colored. Now I make it kasher for Kiddush. What about fixing? Says Ravadia, it's not comparable. Why? Buy the fruits before you took the 10% out. Is it edible on Shabbat? Ever it's going to be edible? If you're not going to take 10%. Asu, whoever eats the fruit without 10%, hayav mita, it's tevil. It's a very big avera. Eating foods without giving 10% from the food.
Now you can give
In
it
Israel.
any animals, or it has to be zoo animals?
It has to be owned by a Kohen. Kohen has to be the owner.
But the Kohen doesn't own the zoo.
So they make him own it by the book.
Oh.
Like you sell your chametz by the book. Right? By the book is the goyish.
But he's not,
During Pesach.
but he's tameh, so what's the difference?
So I said the Kohen doesn't have to be, a Kohen has to be tahor to eat himself. But the animals of a Kohen are not expected to be tahor. So that's why even the... Bechor? Gdzie? Bach szkordet, amto zedet rafte, da?
Я не понял, чая нет, ничего нет.
Да, Бechora нет, чая нет. So right now it says Ravadia, the 10% you didn't take, you're not allowed to eat the food. However, the wine, if you didn't take the 10%, if you didn't color the white wine, is that drinkable? So since I could have drink it without making it red, by making it red, I didn't fix it. Understand the logic?
Drinkable, yeah.
It was drinkable before you made it red. Therefore, it remains drinkable. The concept of coloring and fixing it will not apply to that.
The same thing for dipping the meat, dishes and meat on Shabbat.
Exactly.
So you cannot use it on Shabbat.
We could.
No, but you could not.
We could because I could have given it to a guy as a gift.
Yeah, but only if I do that.
Since I had a way out.
Oh, so I could, because of that, I can dip them on even on Shabbat.
Right.
At night also.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Yeah.
What do the Tosfot?
Let me just write it. Which is not the case with white wine, even though it was not kosher for Kiddush according to the Ramban. Bechor, bet, making it beet red does not constitute the prohibition of fixing. Because it have been fit for consumption. before the coloring. Got it or no? Very good. Next. Что мегет, Бехор?
Что плохое вы ищете там что-то?
Я не ищу, я говорю, вы не приходите, разговаривайте там. Боже чмо. Бевахом де чува, Бехор?
Запоздали сегодня.
Чува, проседам Шмона Гуфтет.
Разные олени на дороге бегают, их надо остановить.
Да?
Шаколь куфте?
Маем охроним уже идет.
Ай-яй-яй.
Number 9.
What do Tosfot, Shabbat,
Шаколь любит воров.
page 41a, say about mixing hot water with wine on Shabbat? And how does this relate to coloring food and liquids?
Okay. The Tosfot.
Also in Tosfot, Shabbat 41a, it is written,
White wine, according to Ramban, kasher for Kiddush?
no.
White wine, according to Ramban.
Ramban, no.
What we learn, not kasher for Kiddush. A person wants to put red drops of the red wine, chut, make it red.
Mix it.
Not red, make it,
Fix it.
pinkish. Kasher to do this on Shabbat or no?
You're fixing it.
Ramban, no.
Huh?
To Ramban, no.
What about you fixing it?
Coloring.
No, but it's edible.
So now comes the Tosafot and says, listen to this.
Read.
Yeah? It is written.
that one may drink from mixed drink even on Shabbat, where they mixed a little hot water into wine. It is permissible to color food and drinks. It is better to put tea extract in first and then add water, even according to
Tea extract first, better. And then add water. Better. Even according to
Tosfot, read
Tosfot read.
who wrote that there is coloring in food. It is because he believes there is processing in food, but we do not rule like this.
So therefore, since we hold there is no processing in food, en me'abed ba'ochalim, we also hold there is no tzovea ba'ochalim. Tzovea coloring.
Why is it preferable to color?
So therefore, for us, you're allowed to put clear water, allowed, and then put chai, and then put coffee, and then put whatever, no problem for us. Because we hold there is no processing in foods. In me'abed ba'ochalim, also there is no coloring in ba'ochalim, in foods. Very good. Next.
Why is it preferable to color liquids close to the time of consumption, similar to the rule of selecting food close to the time of eating?
Says Rabbi, there is another, if you do it right away, right now, you're going to take the white wine and put a little bit of the red wine into it, so to make it a little bit pinkish. Since you're going to drink it right now, it's not a way of making melacha. That's a way of making achila, drinking it, shtiyah. Where do we learn that if something is asur, but if you do it and right away you're going to eat it, it's allowed? Where we got that from? Borer. Remember by the concept of borer, what did we learn? That you're not allowed to separate. But if you're separating it for right now, good. Out of the bed, allowed. Remember or no? 2 weeks ago, Bechor, I'm sitting on Shabbat table. Somebody gave me kovov rohan,
What's that?
which is a mixture in a pot. They put a center plate, langri. It was inside chicken, meat, potatoes, and sweet potatoes. And that person took the chicken, put the meat, then took the potatoes, and I said, oh no, I don't want the potatoes. Is that person allowed to put the potatoes back in the pot and then took the sweet potatoes?
You have to put it back with something else, together with something else.
Not something else. He wants to only put the potatoes out of the plate that he's holding. He was putting like this with the center plate over here, and was separate the potatoes out and put instead of that the sweet potato. Monkey on Bechor. Borer.
Można nist.
Można nest. Monkey nest. Why not?
It's two different.
Because that person's taking right now the potatoes out. Potatoes are good for that person or not good? Not good. So what are you separating? The bad out of the good. Rabbi, but I'm eating it right now.
If you put everything back and taste it whatever you like.
Very good. והרבית שגוף, בכור?
Cheap. I like how this thing. Forget that was hard.
You're gonna come with good news to us tomorrow. Okay? So now says Ravadi, the same concept of borer. If I do borer good, the potato, sweet potato out, in order to eat it now. מה אתה אומר? איך הם מתו שמה?
לא יודע. כי לימוד התורה שלכם.
So Baruch Hashem, there was a smell downstairs. It was dead raccoon built on Bechor.
They found a dead raccoon
Yeah,
downstairs
yeah.
because they left the door open.
No. Next door, they make construction over there. They run something. There was an opening, and Baruch Hashem that they found it.
Otherwise, you would stay there. It's going to get worse.
Huh?
The smell would be worse.
Yeah. Baruch Hashem. So now, Bechor, listen to this. If I take the sweet potato out of the pot, put it in my plate. I'm also separating the sweet potato out of the rest over there.
For right now you're separating.
What about melacha? Is it considered to be that you're making an melacha?
No.
No. What am I doing? I'm eating.
Yeah.
I'm drinking. That's the way to do.
Yeah.
Says Ravadia, if I make a mixture of paint, according to Ben Ish Chai, not allowed to. When it's not allowed to? Whenever I leave it and I want to paint what is the wall. Yeah. But if I make right now the chai and coffee in my clear water and I made it brown and made a different color, I'm going to drink it right now.
Yeah.
So the same way by borer, there's no problem if I do it for right now, lealtar. So to by coloring, if I'm going to drink it lealtar, there is no problem.
Even if you wait 30 minutes, it's still okay. You make
Yeah.
coffee. It's not,
Yeah.
You're not going to drink it right. It's too hot.
Yeah, 30 minutes is too long. Your call is going to be iced coffee.
So iced coffee, you want iced coffee. Let's say you like iced coffee. You can still color it.
Bottom line, you could.
Doesn't have to
For
be
other
right
reasons.
now, right now.
Yeah. For other reasons.
However, it is preferable to do so close to the time
What?
of
The
eating.
borer? The borer? Not allowed to take from your plate the potatoes that you don't want and throw it back in the pot and take instead of that, let's say, sweet potatoes.
So what do you allowed to do?
So you have to remove all the plate back into there
Everything,
and then take whatever you want. It's a very common mistake. People don't know, pay attention. Isur mamash of borer.
I thought there's no borer in the same mixture.
Что говоришь?
Borer in the same kind, no?
Well, there's meat on the plate, chicken on the plate,
The potatoes are potatoes.
and potatoes. They separate all the potatoes back into the pot.
No, but isn't sweet potato regular potatoes? Both potatoes can't you?
No. They didn't separate the potatoes out of the sweet potatoes. They separate the potatoes out of the chicken and the meat. They pushed it into the pot.
But in general, if there was
That's what usually people do. Whatever they don't want, they put it back in the center plate and they take whatever they want. So doing that on Shabbat, mechalel Shabbat. It's machloket, but I'm telling you bottom line, it's mechalel Shabbat.
But if it was just sweet potatoes, regular potatoes, is it
Still a soup,
still
because it's different taste.
Next.
Next.
When, according to Maran, is tying a knot.
Hold on. Now, number 10 we finish. Okay, yeah, you're right. Go ahead.
When, according to Maran, is tying a knot prohibited from Torah.
Yalla, explain to Bob
Question.
Bechor. We'll make you back to Rabbi. Let's go. Bechor is your audience.
Нельзя делать это
In
профессионально.
English, he understands.
Okay, so I said in English.
He doesn't hear you. When you read from a plum
When,
book, he
according to
doesn't read.
Maran, is tying knot prohibited from Torah. Поняли? Перевод. Когда нельзя делать этот над, как говорят?
Завязать.
Завязать этот профессионально это нельзя по Торе. Когда? Когда это профессионально. Okay.
Now, Bechor, we finish with the laws of coloring. Finished. You see, I have to know how to talk to Bechor. He's happy when there's next always.
Next.
So Baruch Hashem, we finished with another laws of coloring. Tamam. Now we're going to the laws of knotting.
Temporary mumkin, not forever mumkinness.
Okay. There is moral details than whatever you said before. You said one detail out of many.
Okay.
So now says Rav Ovadia, what is the tying prohibited from Torah?
Tying, when it's complicated and you cannot open it easily. It needs an artist to do it.
Okay, so let's see the answer.
According to the Rambam, Rif and Maran, tying a knot on Shabbat that is permanent and Melechet Uman, craftsman's work, is liable as written in the Talmud Yerushalmi, learning from the weavers of the tabernacle's curtains or from those who hunted the chilazon snail, such as a sailor's knot.
Yeah.
Sailor, как говорят sailor на русском?
Sailor?
No, Chudo.
No, sailor is the person that is working on the ship.
Ship,
Марят.
Моряк.
моряк.
Malavon.
Они делают же вот этот профессиональный
Okay.
knot. Вот это нельзя делать. Okay, next. And when is it only rabbinically prohibited?
So hold on, you understood when is the right or no? Whenever it's a professional knot. For example, on the boat, the people that have the white,
Parusa.
how you call it?
Parusa.
Parusa? Oh, okay.
Parnasa.
Parnasa. Parusa, the big one like this. It pushes the boat here and there with the wind.
Yeah.
Huh?
Sail, what's it called?
Sail, it's called, yeah.
Как Brooklyn Bridge было.
Yeah, you run into it, no? So, making this knot, you gotta be professional. Not everybody knows how to make that. Making such a knot on Shabbat, the Oraita.
Professional and next. What about shoelace?
Shoelace is not professional. We're gonna see which are considered to be professional. We'll see. But now we're talking about this one, the one that is on the boat. Okay, read further. Eh? So Rubinov comes, you know.
And when is it only rabbinically prohibited?
When?
But if only one of these conditions is met, which conditions? Permanent or craftsman work, it is rabbinically prohibited.
But if only, so you need to have both, which is permanent. That was the first condition. And it has to be professional. Melechet Uman.
Well, I didn't understand it this way. It says, but if only one of these conditions is met.
There's two conditions, so we have to say tying
Both
and
conditions.
not on Shabbat.
Both conditions have to be met.
That
Permanent
is
or
that meant two
craftsman.
conditions. Meant, yeah, two conditions. One, that it is permanent,
And craftsman.
and second, that it is a professional. Melechet Uman. Got it?
Mm-hmm. And when is it completely permissible? And if neither condition is met, it is permissible.
So Bechor, what if it's going to be one of the conditions? It has to be long time
Rabbanan.
and professional.
What's long?
What if it is short time and professional? Or long time, not professional?
The Rabban.
One of the conditions. It says when one of the conditions are met,
Professional, temporary.
hold on, when one of the conditions, yes, Asur de Rabbanan, not the Oraita.
So the whole tying is the Rabbana.
The whole time Asur de Rabbanan. Because it's temporary.
So either if it's permanent, not professional,
That's the Rabbanan.
and if it's temporary, but
Professional
temporary.
and temporary,
Also Rabbana.
also the Rabbanan.
Okay, so both of them.
On Shabbat, can I ask the goy? If it's the Oraita, can I ask the goy? No.
Why not?
So the Oraita? Can I ask
Asking
the
the goy is Rabbana.
Can I ask the goy to do so?
So it's
No, but if
Rabbana.
that's if it's that if you have both conditions, the Oraita.
How?
But just said if it is professional and long term, two conditions are met.
What's long?
Then it's the Oraita. Would I be allowed to tell the goy to do this on
It's the
Shabbat?
Rabbana.
No. Whenever one of the conditions, then is the Rabbanan. But if it's both conditions, then it's the Oraita. If it's the Oraita, you're not allowed to do it. You're not allowed to ask the Goy to do it.
How's it the right again?
Hey, explain to him.
I lost it.
Craftsmanship. It's a umanut. Some
Craftsmanship.
professional
temporary.
guy.
Oh, we say if it's
Professional guy.
craftsmanship, it's temporary, but in this case, it's permanent.
Right.
Oh, that becomes the right.
Right. So it's
Permanent
Kraven and permanent.
and professional.
Or if it's permanent,
But
so
not
so
professional,
being permanent
Rabbanan.
or craftsmanship, they're both the right.
No, together.
Both. When they
Together.
both together.
Both conditions.
But one of them is not
It's the
there.
Rabbanan.
The Rabbanan. Got it?
Right.
So now I give you an example. Let's say Babulia have candies that they are only when guests are coming. Remember these times of Babulia Bechol? Today we don't have that. Today everything is available all the time. But when we were children, Babulia had a special bag that was always hiding it somewhere, was double wrapped. You never find it. Even when you check Hametz for Pesach, you're not going to find it. She used to hide it so well, Chaval al Azman. Now comes to Shabbat, Yitzchak John. Comes to Shabbat, Babulia wants to, hey, not Babulia, you want to open this bag. Can you open it on Shabbat?
No.
We're going to learn later that double knot is considered to be permanent knot and professional knot. We're going to learn it.
What's the problem untying it?
How professional.
So if it is, Babulia tied it a month ago, 2 months ago, last time she had guests. Now comes Shabbat, she wants to untie it. Can she untie it on Shabbat or no? So we're going to learn later on that any knot you're not allowed to do on Shabbat, you're not allowed to untie on Shabbat.
Even for food purposes?
Even for food purposes. So doraita. So let's say Chai Beseder, I'm not allowed to do. Can I tell the goy to do it for me? If you say it's the oraita, so you're not allowed to do, you're not allowed to tell the goy also to do. That's it's important to know which category it belongs to. The oraita restrictions or the Rabbanan restrictions?
What if there's a chicken that is roasted? Sometimes the roasted big chickens, they tie it with a string.
Zohar.
So now that string, you're not untying it, but you're cutting it. Can you cut it?
Bottom line, you're allowed to cut it, yeah.
Because it's not the derech of untying, not untying, you're cutting it, you're destroying it.
Yeah,
For the sake of achila.
yeah.
Zohar.
Yeah, let's finish this off. Stop it. And we make a little bit,